I sat alone on the edge of the white-laced altar steps, my wedding dress pooling around me like a sea of discarded dreams. The whispers of confused guests buzzed in the air, but I barely heard them, my heart pounding with disbelief. Just hours ago, I had been preparing to marry the love of my life, the man who had swept me off my feet with his charming smile and whispered promises. Now, a police officer stood in front of me, explaining in careful, measured tones that my fiancé had been arrested at the airport for identity theft. He wasn't the man he claimed to be, he wasn't even the man I thought I knew. As I listened, the pieces began to fall into place. The late-night phone calls he took outside, the sudden business trips that never quite added up, the way he flinched whenever we ran into someone he claimed was a stranger. It all made sense now, a tangled web of lies unraveling in my mind. The officer handed me a folder filled with evidence, photos, documents, and names that weren't his. I felt the world tilt beneath me as I realized I had been living an elaborate lie, married to a man who was nothing more than a ghost. Desperation clawed at me as I remembered our last argument, a heated exchange over a future that now seemed impossible. He had been so convincing, swearing that he loved me, that we would overcome anything together. But now I wondered if any of it was real. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined, a visceral wound that left me questioning everything I knew about trust and love. My mind raced with memories, each one tainted by the revelation of his deception. And then, in the midst of my turmoil, I found a letter tucked inside the folder, addressed to me in his familiar handwriting. It was a confession, an apology for the life he had stolen and the love he had faked, yet there was a chilling sincerity in his words. He wrote of a past he couldn't escape, a cycle of deceit he was born into, and for a moment, I saw a glimmer of the man I thought I loved, a man trapped by his own lies. It was a twisted, tragic truth that cut to the core of my own fears, that I had been so enamored with the idea of love, I had ignored the reality staring me in the face. As I read his final plea for forgiveness, I realized that perhaps the person I needed to forgive most was myself, for believing in the beautiful illusion he had crafted.